Welcome to the Wes Montgomery Blues Challenge. We're going to take a look at D natural blues. The first thing we're going to do is learn the head. He's doing the Wes octaves. Now, I'm going to just play with my thumb to demonstrate. I'm not an expert at this, but it's cool to be able to get that sound. Let's talk about octaves before we even dig into the song. There are two sort of left-hand fingerings for octaves in the Wes style. One starts on the E and A string with the index finger, the other starts on the D and G string. So to play an octave, I'm going to use my index and ring on the first set of strings, and then the other two is going to be index and pinky. It's important to be able to alternate between those two. Now here's a huge tip. Look at your index finger. The instinct is to look at the note that's higher, but you should look at the note that's lower. It's gonna help you to not fret out, because when you play phrases that go down, if you're limiting it by this finger, you're never getting into these kind of situations where you have an open string or you're playing a note that's too low. Also, the transitions between strings are easier because in a sense, you're just looking at one finger. So if you're trying to play a line that goes, all you gotta do is look at that index. If you make the other finger automatic, it's just easier. So the form is just a 12-bar jazz blues. I'll go through it real quick. We have the 1 chord D7, 4 chord G7, 1 chord for 2 measures D7. That's our first 4. Then the second 4, we have G7 for 2 measures, back to D7 1 measure, 2 5 to E minor, so F sharp half diminished. Then we have our 2 chord E minor 7, our 5 chord A, and then it's just a 1 6 2 5. The bassist actually goes, which is a typical thing to play over it. Cool, so let's start with the head. So the first phrase, then the piano kind of responds, and then, so it's just the 1 chord, the 4 chord, back to the 1 chord, then it goes. So let's talk about what's happening here note-wise. The beginning is all minor pentatonic, and then still minor pentatonic, D minor pentatonic. Now here we get into some interesting stuff. Minor pentatonic, minor pentatonic, and here it's a blue note, and then major. That's a nice sound. So going from that minor pentatonic to the major pentatonic with the octaves. Cool. Then we get to measure 5, the 4 chord. Now we go, that's kind of playing minor blues on it. And then it goes, responds with the minor blues, but using that blue note. Then we start changing it to major blues. So it's a super sweet sound on the 4 chord to go D minor, and then on the 1 chord to go D major. So now we get to the turnaround. Now Wes does the typical Wes thing, which is superimposing the sound of the 4 chord on the 2/5. So on E minor A7, he's sort of arpeggiating a G major 7, which gives you this beautiful inside sound. So in octaves, it's starting from its 3rd, from the B, which is a really nice sound. And then he goes to that minor to major sound blues. And then the last phrase is just a minor pentatonic thing to the major. So let me do the whole thing really, really slowly. If you dig this, please join our Patreon. It has everything tabbed out and notated for you. And tomorrow we're going to be back with the solo. We're going to start breaking down that solo. So we'll see you soon.